What's up, everyone? This is Sean Scott with Reflections TV on another episode of Kitchen Talk with the new cast. What's up, yo?
What's up, man?
Hey.
What's up? We got a new location, Toledo, Ohio, at Our Brother's Place. Thank you for the beautiful people at Our Brother's Place for sponsoring this venue for us. For those of you who don't know what Kitchen Talk is primarily an informal discussion amongst us peers here, where we come together, we talk about a wide variety of topics from religion, sports, relationships, any social issues that you could think of. We come together and we talk about it. So I'm tired of talking. Y'all ready to get to the discussion?
Let's make it happen.
All right, for yours who don't know me, I'm Sean Scott.
No.
I'm Brittany.
I'm Beach.
I'm Deja.
Emilio.
Julian.
Tatiana.
Let's get it in.
Yeah.
All right, so the first topic we have, who does everyone feel as if our modern day role models are? I mean, you pretty much have your cliche role models that everyone talks about for the past, but for our generation, who do we feel as if our modern day role models are?
And for me, I'm a big fan of Michael Eric Dyson, man. He's a scholar. He keeps it real. Comes from the hip hop generation. Not a fan of Bill Cosby like me. So, I went there. Early. Going straight in. Kitchen talk. Let's do it. Michael Eric Dyson. And if you read any of his books, it's Bill Cosby, right? Why I Love Black Women. The great reads. So I check it out. And I actually had a chance to meet him when he came to BG, the Black Issues Conference. And that was a life-changing experience for me. It really awakened me and made me more conscious. So that's at the top of my list as far as role models or current younger, for the next generation. Absolutely.
Well, for me personally, I want to go with Michelle Obama, and I look at that for more ways than one, of course. I would say from a relationship aspect, she held Barack down from the beginning. As a young lady, I look up to her because she carries herself with dignity and class at all times, and I love that. I look up to her as a professional. I myself am a public health major, and I really want to improve the overall quality of life for our minorities, and that's something that she's just taken an action, and she's taking it personally to just get in and make that change that she wants to see. And then politically, she's a mover. She's intelligent. So just overall, I really look up to her in that aspect.
Mine is still Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not saying that I'm a rapper,
Right.
that I even want to be in the hip hop industry. It's just the whole story of someone that came up from way lesser than great conditions and is able to say, I'm on top of the world right now. You can't help but idolize that man. I also can say that I don't agree with his past, but I don't think that someone's past is what defines them, it's what makes them.
For me, it's more, I guess closer in my circle. For me, I'm not really a big social media buff. I don't really care for the big icons because to me it's superficial. Like, we don't get to see the everyday struggle that they may have to face. So for me, it's just kind of like, okay, that's nice and that's something to aspire to be. But as far as like modern day role models, like for me, and I guess I want for the generation, are the people around them. So I look to people like at my job, I'm the youngest in my building, and I look to like the assistant director, it's ran by all women and African American women at that. So that's more my role model. Like, y'all can hold down the housing authority in Toledo, and it's ran by African American women. So that's where my attention is right now. Is looking at people that are a little bit more closer knit and can guide me into where I want to be at the age of 40, 50, about to retire and have the choice of whether they want to do this or take on something bigger. Like, so I guess it differs just a little. Social media is just kind of like, oh, that's pretty. Let's look at that. I want to do those things, and for me, it's just kind of.
Okay, I completely agree with you. Like, I don't really get into popular culture at all. So for me, my mother would be my role model. Like I look at her and she's an entrepreneur. She's had her business for over 30 years. My grandmother, same thing. My aunt, same thing. My cousin, same thing. And so, even being the first generation, my cousin, she was the first of that side of our family to go to college. And so I don't really look at like popular people to motivate me. It's just people that are around me and what they're doing.
Yo,
What's going on? Well, we were trying to talk about current role models. They being my parents, and not to sound cliche or whatnot, but my parents, they grew up in a very small country, Central America, Nicaragua, and they grew up in a road that didn't even have paved roads, right? They come over here and they gave me everything that I needed, but most importantly, the education. That selflessness is something that we need to embody for just our people, our family, our children, and to me, they were my role models. Both of my parents, fortunately, never had the opportunity to graduate from college or anything like that. I'm very proud to say I'm the very first in my entire family to have a college degree. And most importantly, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's about that family values, you know what I mean? So if I'm bringing a degree to the table, I have to bring change with it because that's the promise that I made to my family. They made that ultimate sacrifice to come and leave their country, their family, and their homes for generations and generations. And it is my burden, but most importantly, my obligation to make sure that that's lived out. And that's what I'm trying to do. My current role models in this day of age are my parents for doing that, for coming over to this country and making it happen for me.
now, in choosing your role models, like, what about them just that gravitated you towards them?
They knew they would never have a college education. They knew they wouldn't have the opportunities they have right now to be sitting here with you and having this talk and having this opportunity to be in front of cameras right over here. They knew they would never have that, and they did it selflessly for me. And for that's something that I want to embody. That's something I want to do for my own children.
Well, for me personally, one of my favorite role models who I look up to is, I'll just go music industry, is Kanye West. I feel as if even though some of the ways that he goes about expressing his passion I don't agree with, but I feel as if you could teach a child, well, what I look up, he's passionate about everything that he does, and he does not shy away from anything that he believes. So anything that I believe now, I'm just as passionate, and whatever that I do to express that passion, I don't care what you say, I'm going to let you know how I feel, and I'm not going to waver from that, especially that he's musically inclined. I feel as if he's a musical genius, almost the lines of R. Kelly. So, and yeah, I said it. I don't care if you believe it or
No,
not.
I mean, that ain't the argument.
Yes, but
I can argue with it. I ain't gonna do it.
At least somebody still speaks from the
That's not the
soul.
debate.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Somebody
He
speaks
lets
from
you
the
know
soul.
how he
Okay.
feels. So
Yeah.
that's mine. Mine is Kanye West.
I can agree with you with it because he is unapologetic.
He's
You can't help
He's
but
gonna
be
let
like,
you
know
know
what?
how he feels.
I don't like what
He did
you just
apologize
said,
for
but
that.
it's just like,
So-
okay, like,
You did apologize.
Question again, or what is it again?
That's who are our modern day role models.
Our model day, or just
That's our modern day.
in specific, just us?
Just
How about you?
Yeah, me
Very
personally,
specific.
I don't necessarily have a single role model, or I guess a role model in general. I just admire a lot of qualities from different people. So for me, you know, I respect Kanye. I respect Pharrell Williams. You know, Kanye, I respect him because how passionate he is and just how much of an individual he is. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't. I can't say he doesn't wake up and try to appeal to people, but he wake up and he is himself. You know what I'm saying? He's not trying to, you know, do the most, I guess. I mean, what he does is him. You know what I mean? Especially just watching his career and music. You know, he never, like, okay, 2008, you know what I'm saying? It was completely different then. anybody else was doing. Like what he was doing in 2008 is really what people are doing now in 2015. You know what I'm saying? He did that then. Pharrell Williams, I say, because throughout his career, he's always had like a peaceful demeanor. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you could ever mix up Pharrell with like anything bad. You know what I'm saying? He's always been very calm and collected. I respect Jay-Z also because, you know, I watch his interviews and he's like, he takes his time when he speaks. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't rush into anything. If you feel like you're rushing into something, he stops and then he speaks. So I respect that. So the biggest thing that I'm learning and pushing towards now is just being disciplined, patient, and just pushing myself hard. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I respect that.
Our next topic is going to be, how do you guys feel about technology, social networks, and how they affect communication in today's age?
Who wants to be the first one?
All right, cool. I'll start off. I'll start off with this. It's more or less of this. It's like just since the day I was born, I communicate with people. All right, but I'm old school communication, right? So if I talk with you, I tell you how pretty your smile is. I talk with you, you tell me about how good whatever it is that you're doing. You know what I mean? And I pay attention to that. And that's one thing that we don't have in our society nowadays. I'm not sure if it goes to the topic of relationships or whatnot, but when you go Match.com, when you do all this or whatnot, it completely takes away that human factor. Yeah. And I believe in the art of communication. It's an art, you know what I mean? And humanity has had that for thousands of years. So why change that now? Why change that now? The way I see it, it's a great way to social network with people, right? Mm-hmm. Facebook, social media, all that other stuff. But at the same time, you got to take the time to meet those people in person. You want to know what they're about, so they know what you're about.
I feel like it takes, in some kind of way. First of all, I'm a communications major, so this, like, looking me in the eyeballs, we're having a conversation. I can't stand talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, what you say? Oh my God, like I'm talking to you, not you and your phone, like, because there's something that I want you to see, because you pick up nonverbals, like, so you pick up an entire, a different perspective opposed to you sending me a text message, oh, I love you, because it can come out just like that. Oh, I love you so much. I love you. You can hear it. I love you. I love you. It's terrible. It takes all the affection out of that day-to-day interpersonal communication between one another, like really knowing how somebody feels. Because somebody can write you a book in a text message and tell you how hurt they are or what's going on, but you don't feel like that hurt. You don't have that connection to that person to say, oh, I'm really sorry for you, to see that, and unfortunately it may be hurt. It may be that smile. I'm so excited. It takes away certain aspects of life. Not to say that I don't enjoy it, because I get to catch up with people across the nation, and I still get to keep in touch with people all over the place, even sometimes when I don't want to. But as far as a day-to-day, like, it takes away that respect for one another, just that eye contact. It takes away from people really functioning in life. They'd rather text you, they have a conversation, and they're sitting right next to you. Or they can't function in the interview because they can't look you square in your eye and give you a firm handshake, stand up straight. You can't have a conversation because you talk how you text. LOL. CTM, that was so funny.
You want to meet the person who laughs after every
text message.
Who does it?
Sin.
I really laugh when I hit my ha-has. I chuckle.
Me too.
I say I chuckle after my ha-has. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I get what you doing, LOL.
What?
I don't know. Like, for me, I don't like it. I love it and I hate it. I love it because I can keep in touch with my loved ones who are everywhere. But I hate it because a lot of people feel like I'm sarcastic. So when I'm trying to be sincere,
Sarcasm is an unappreciated language.
it really is. It really
And then
is.
you miss that in text messages when you're like,
No.
Oh my God.
And then when I'm texting, I can mean something from the depth of my soul and be so sincere, and somebody get offended. I thought you meant when you're texting, those things get misinterpreted, and then now you got a situation.
Right.
And I hate unnecessary situations. I really do. And then there's so much room for false branding, and people can be anybody they want to be on the internet or via text. Like, I don't know.
Catfish.
I'm a catfish. Yes. Took it out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Like,
For
I
me,
just
clowns.
hate it.
Because if you think about it, the circus clowns, they can be anything.
I like
They paint their
clowns.
face,
I like
and
clowns.
I'm afraid of them. I hate them. I hate clowns. I don't really care for mascot people. And it's because they can be anybody under there. It could be a homicidal maniac, but you have a smile painted on your face. It's the same with social media for me. Like, it makes me laugh to see people, and it's just like in the line of work I do, you see people on social media, and I got this, I got that, I'm this, and I'm that. I've seen you in public. And it's no dish or diss to anybody, but it's just like you're not who you really are. Like, this has given you, and I understand fake it till you make it to an extent, but you're really not trying to make it nowhere. You just want to make it seem as if you're not what you really
Sad
are.
part is
And so
kind
it
of
makes
a
people
skewed
fake.
view, but I kind of feel like the people that does that are who they are. They just don't know how to be that person anymore because of social networks.
Because of technology. That's the problem,
I
man.
think-
Everybody wants to
I
hide
know
behind
people
it.
who are in front of the camera, they're giddy, blah blah, super happy. But if you meet them in real life, you would think that they were that person that sat in the back of the class, you know what I mean, sharpening pencils, like.
And I get that and that's why I said to a certain extent, there are those people that it just, they are social media clowns. Okay, we get that. But then there are people that hide behind it because they can't function out in public. So, yeah, on the phone or on text message or on a video on Instagram, they this lively, really excited person. And then when you meet them and you go to have a conversation with them, they can't keep their eyes up to talk to you. They shy away, they hide in this little corner unless they have some other type of influence to help them be that person that they are on social media.
So do you think that's to blame on technology, or is that just personal?
See, I think that
Because I think we blame in technology, but
No,
these are issues that people.
blaming
You gotta pick your
technology.
spot.
We're human.
So like at one point in time, people didn't really write letters, right? And then we had the print press. Then we had books, and they're all different forms of communication.
Right.
Now nothing can replace face-to-face communication. Nothing can change that. When books came along, that still didn't change face-to-face
Right.
conversation. But people are changing. We're at a change in culture. Culture is changing, and it's just another way to express yourself.
Exactly.
So in the same way that like somebody might not be the same way they describe in a book, it's the same way on a Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or an autobiography.
Or the way I see it, it just can't be the primary form.
But that's my
It
thing.
can't
That's
be
the
everybody.
primary form, and that's
But it
my
can.
argument.
But it
not.
can.
But for some people, it really is.
It
They
is
can't
primary
hold a
form.
conversation with you in person.
But it
Or
depends.
they can send you a text message that's 8 hours long.
But
Like,
it
and I'm like, I
depends.
sat in front of you for 3 hours asking you, hey, how do you feel? What's wrong?
You
Nothing.
tell me.
I get home and my phone done died because you sent me 15 pages out of order of how you really feel.
Out of order!
Out of order. Number 3 of 15.
And that's why I say, like, social media is a gift and a curse. And
It's a
being
gift
that
and a
I
curse.
enjoy the art form of interpersonal communication and intrapersonal communication, it's a dying form because people use social media and I'll just say technology as their primary form. It takes away from the human interaction, and honestly, day to day, we need that to survive as a person, as a being. We need that, and it's dying. So we don't know how to communicate. So instead, we get to the point where I can't send this text message fast enough. I'm about to throw it up against the wall. Like, we can't channel certain things because we don't have those outlets to do it. The only thing we have is our phone.
I feel like
or our tablet.
technology takes away from the whole
Is it
storytelling
evolving?
aspect
Because
too.
it's evolving.
But the thing is, I wouldn't say that it was evolving, because if it was, it would also teach us that while we do have this avenue, we still have this to where we can sit with our peers and have somebody to converse with, to really see inside and out how you really feel about what I just said. Instead of a text message, I'm rolling my eyes and telling you I feel so bad for you. I am so sorry. Like, it
Well,
takes
I think
away.
it just depends on values, also. You know what I'm saying?
And that's all I've been saying.
Yeah.
Because you have to hold.
But you gotta value that. You know what I'm saying?
And it
People
has
don't
to see
value
that
it.
starts
And
in a whole
like
nother
people like you,
conversation.
or people like me, or anybody else who agree with what you're saying, if they value it, and they do it. But Not everybody value it. Not everybody wants to be up close.
I don't even know if it's
You
the
know what I'm
value
saying?
thing. I know people who actually want to talk
It's a-
and can't
you
do it
can't-
anymore.
you can't
because they don't know
generalize
how to.
everybody.
They never learned to. They didn't have the experience where we
And
went to
that's what I
party
said,
with
yeah,
kids.
so
our
Well,
people.
how about this? Let me ask
We
you a
saw
question.
people when we were out younger. We had to find them again to get to know them.
Let me ask a question
You
to
don't
y'all.
even have to go
How
through
many
that.
of y'all are willing to send a text message instead of call? How many of y'all send a text message instead of call
I will-
before you even call?
I will say
Who texts before they call?
I
I'm
don't.
the person that
I
won't
do
talk to
both.
you in
No,
general.
I mean there's no excuses. Who texts before they decide to call? But
I do now, but I blame
I
that
don't want
on
to
the
call
modern
everybody.
time.
We're not going to blame
You know
it
what
on
I'm saying?
anything. Who does it?
I do.
Raise your hand.
I do.
I do as well too. You know why? Because it was a new and more convenient way to do things, right? To us, to
That's what
us,
it means.
technology, and that goes to your topic right over here, is technology, or the way that we handle technology, right? Because we have the ability to communicate with people whenever we want, wherever we want, right? Doesn't matter where we're at, right? But the problem is that we're depending on it too much, that text and all this other stuff. No, we need to call people, we need to talk to people, heads up. Like with me, if there's something important, I'm gonna meet up with you, I'm gonna call you and tell you, let's go get some coffee and let's do this one-on-one. You know why? How about this? You know, without giving too much away, there was a friend of mine, I caught her in a lie, right? And guess what? Instead of texting her about catching her in a lie, I waited weeks. And I was like, hey, meet me up at this place at this time, right? And guess what? I confronted her about that lie, right? And obviously, she didn't know how to react to it. And obviously, I caught her in that lie. And that, to me, I'm not trying to say that's a victorious part. I'm not trying to say that that's what we should be doing. But guess what? You wouldn't be able to do that off of texting. You wouldn't be able to do that off of calling, okay? So yes, those are extra mediums how do you feel
about
that we can
FaceTime?
use. About FaceTime?
Hello.
What is FaceTime? If you
It's
set
this.
a FaceTime schedule, what does that mean? Especially with a woman, right? They're trying to look all great. At the 10th FaceTime, they're looking
But
like...
that's no different than people trying to meet up with each other.
I'm just gonna...
You know, women just not going to...
Yeah, by the 10th FaceTime, they're like... You feel me?
Try to get the
Okay?
best angle. Wait a
Yeah.
minute.
But it's not about FaceTime.
This
It
gonna be
really
this
just
gonna
comes
be
down
the
to
last
this.
comment.
No.
Last comment.
Yeah, you
the last
go
one.
ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, you're saying that
What I wanted to say is, I don't feel like technology is a bad thing, but I do feel like the fact that it's jumped ahead so fast has stunted the whole community in a way. Where not saying it's a bad
the
thing.
one thing
Yes,
I
we
gotta
can-
say is-
hold on.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we can
sure,
get in
sure.
contact. It's a lot easier, this, that, and the other. But when you get in contact, it's so hard to actually get that person to come out of that shell and be themselves with you.
True.
Versus how easy it is to just go on their page and see this, that, and other. I hate that whole trying to crack that shell phase now. It's nowhere near how it used to be. People would just open up, and if they don't like you, that's the end of you. Now it's the whole string along thing because I want to find out, but we got to deal with this whole petty, I'm going to give you this much right now. Follow me.
Follow me.
I'm going to give you this much right now. Add me on Snapchat. You know what I mean? I'm going to give you this much now, you know, like a couple pictures, blah, blah, blah. It's just stupid to me. When's the last time you went out with somebody and they did not bring up a social media?
Make a great point.
All right, now a subtopic off of this technology and communication. As far as approaching people, males and females. Now we have, you know, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Is it okay to, you know, slide in them DMs and get that number, or should we keep it face-to-face communication? Because that's if we gonna keep it, we're gonna keep it. We're be honest. How many of us has slid in them DMs?
I mean,
early.
I mean, so everybody has done it.
mindset.
Everybody has not. No.
So nobody has slid in your DMs.
But why would it be okay to do that though and not pass somebody a note? Since we're going so old school, since we all want to be all old,
That's slide.
wasn't it okay back in the day? We slide a note. So now we slide in DM. I mean, I really don't see the big difference.
have to fold it on.
Yeah, I gotta fold it
Make
now.
sure they get confiscated.
Yeah.
I me personally. personally, I see no problem, you know, with sliding DMs if, you know, I'm here in Toledo, you may have female, maybe, you know, Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, something. We don't see each other day to day. You know, I'm just go ahead and slide this number right quick. Text me, you know. But I feel as if, you know, when we were younger, we had the pens and the pad, and we had to approach women and get their numbers. Like, that element now is gone. I feel as if I would have, like, approaching a woman nowadays in this technology, and, yo, can I get your number right? I feel as if she look at you like you weird. Because everybody too busy sliding in their DMs.
I personally wouldn't have I would rather
Social networks today remind me of the parties back in the day where the guy stood on one side and the girl stood on one side.
And that's life then, because it's just like, oh my God,
That's
there
so
he is.
accurate.
And I'm just like, you couldn't even say he was fine because you too busy trying to turn to tell him, I'm about to get this quick selfie so we can see how cute. I don't.
That's why I'm saying it would be
Because it's
looked
just
at corny as in really approaching her and talking to her because
Yeah.
nobody's doing it.
And I go back to the original then. I'd rather you come have a conversation with me because I can pretty much hit you with the right now. I don't have to go through the, now I got to wait how many days I'm going to call you or text you to figure this out. Like, and it's this ongoing, I'm on the phone and we're going to play cat and mouse. I'd just rather you, if that's the case, send me a video note getting cute on me. Don't send me no DM with just a little note to say, hey, what's your phone number? Sir.
Right.
Sir, you could have came with at least a little bit more than that. I just don't think that social media is the way to just be like,
Well, there's still a courtship process.
Why does it gotta
Like you
Why
can't
does it
just
gotta
go
be so
0 to
complicated?
100 like
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
Like there's still
maybe it's
you gotta
maybe
you
I'm
know,
like,
just like you wouldn't just
like
walk up
to me,
hey
social
girl,
media-
what's your number? You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't just. Well,
and I've
To
had
me,
that happen.
social
though.
media is
They
just about
requested me on
communication.
Facebook and then been in my messages. Like pretty much, thanks for the request. Ooh, you fine. What's your number? How you got a man? Ooh, can you have friends? Sir, you asked me 12 questions and you just got checked off yes to be my friend on Facebook. You looked through a couple of my pictures and all of a sudden, ooh, you so fine, girl. I just want your number.
Hey, as a
So
female,
they kill it for
Kill it.
everybody else though.
Kill it.
Cause I mean somebody else
Because
can hit
I've
you
had
up just
too
on some
many
simple
of
stuff like, hey,
but
let's
people
beat
that
up
do that in
or
real
let's
life, though.
whatever.
And exactly.
You know, it's the
And
same
it's just like you notice it from the walk, you notice it from the Facebook messages, like, oh, just kill it. Like it kills
So I
me
guess
for
it's
me.
how far you take it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It's how far you
Yes.
take it.
So
Like,
in other
let's
words,
say-
there's nothing wrong with them.
right.
I don't care. That's why I said there's nothing wrong with it, but I personally don't care for it. I mean, we keeping it real. I personally do not care for it. Okay, if you a couple states away, hey, I mean, because I'm a little older, so it's just like, oh, whatever, because I can afford to travel, whatever. That's fine. But there still has to be some kind of interpersonal communication here. I can't come basically,
But you know what, it makes
you
it
like my
convenient,
pictures, and then you send me a DM. Can I have your phone number?
Cause listen, all right, it makes it convenient. Cause unless you just
Convenient.
every time you see somebody that you like, you taking the opportunity out, like I'm hollering at them in person. You might not have the time to be like, you know what, I'm gonna stop and talk to this person. You might be on the move, but social media allows it to slide in
But
there.
my thing is, what's the difference?
What's up?
Because y'all have to see it. If that's the case, like we talk
But
about
you can
DMs,
meet at a more
like on
convenient
Instagram, then give me just this. You talking about DMs on Instagram, and say there, I'll give you three females. That you're not gonna send them all the message together. We're gonna send all y'all group message. Hey, y'all so fine.
No, of course not.
Exactly, but you have to still take the time to court that female individually in some kind of way to get her to at least halfway pay attention to you. If that was the case, you put all of that work into, and I'll say they're local. You see them in passing, but you chose the DMs. I have a problem with that because now that's laziness to me. You didn't take the time. You passed me. I'll say it's high school. We're in the hall every day. You chose social media 12 hours later. Well, you could have just said something to me. It probably would have made me feel a little bit more special because, see, now my thought is, you in my DMs. Who else? You in my DMs. You in hers, and hers. We all homies. Like, girl, did you see? He sent me the same message. To me, it's just like that extra step. If it's local, I mean, it's not about slipping, but if she's local, that's slipping to me. She's local. You can tap her on the shoulder and be like, hey, girl, how you doing? And you chose the lazy route because what? You want to get your face cracked in person, so you get it cracked on social media.
But that's why some people
Got a
some
point.
people might prefer that. They may go on the other side of, on the other side of that, where they may prefer for somebody to approach them on social media instead of in person.
But that's the point we're trying to make is a lot of people try to hide behind social media.
Exactly. It's
So
hiding
like,
behind it.
how about do that? Because like for me, if I were to meet you you, and it's okay. You know what I mean? I got your name and all. I'm gonna add you on social media, but at the same time, I'm gonna be like, hey, Tatiana, next Wednesday, what you doing?
Right, can we?
Because we're gonna meet in person.
Exactly.
We're gonna meet in person, and that's the way I do it. So yeah, social media has the opportunity to meet, and that's the way it should be, networking.
Yes.
But if you're trying to use it as a platform
There
to
it
meet
is.
with girls, to get with girls and whatnot, you're doing it the wrong way. You are
Thank
doing
you.
it the wrong way.
Thank you.
So I'll go ahead and
Thank
meet
you.
you. Hey,
Thank
what are you
you.
doing next week?
That's what we're gonna do.
Oh no, I know you got something. I
No,
know you got something.
I was gonna let her. I mean, I'm sure everybody cool.
I mean, I'm just as a female, of course, I think, sliding in the DMs is pretty foul. But, I walked in the DM before. That's because I was scrolling, like, I was on straight creep, like 52 weeks. I'm just like, gosh, this is a nice, wholesome person.
It's a nice, wholesome person.
We did 2 weeks, 1 year. 1 year, by the way.
I'm saying though, I'm just like, how do I go about approaching this person when they clearly are at another institution? So I'm trying to get my words together, like, so I cannot sound like the modern day DM slider. So I don't think that there's
The modern day DM slider.
I don't think
I'm
it's
honest.
realistic.
Hashtag modern day
It
DM
just
slider.
depends
For
on
sure,
how you go
MDDS.
about it.
Alright.
It does depend on how you go about it. Disclaimer: I'm in a relationship.
Just like it matters how you go about it in real life.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be rude in real life and then come at it like rude in the DMs. It's gonna be the same result. I think it's the same. It's just another way to express yourself, whether it's a paper or
It's
a
an
note.
opportunity, but don't lean on it too
Yeah,
much.
don't lean on
Don't
it.
lean on it
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah,
It's
people
your
become
only way.
dependent on that social media, and that's where
Yeah,
it
that's
And it's the
handicaps.
only way.
Yeah.
It kills people.
Mhm.
I'm not opposed to it or for it, but I do say I'm not against the whole "what's your number?" 'Cause I feel like if you're gonna go straight to the point, go straight to the point. Because if you're doing nothing different, if you give them your number than what you're doing on the social network anyway. Period. Like how y'all said meeting people, this, that, and that. I feel more sketchy about meeting someone up before I give them my number anyway. And I'm old school still. I'm not finna just meet you because you tagged me and said, hey, let's meet up for drinks type deal. Unless we knew each other. I'm gonna have to get one conversation in. My dude, like, I need to hear your voice, hear how you sound, how you saying your words, blah, blah, blah. You're too aggressive, this, that, and other. Like, we gotta go through this. Like, so, like I said, I'm not opposed to the whole, what's your number? I want to know people I'm blunt as Sorry for cussing on your show. But I'm really blunt, like, and I like getting straight to the point. I'm one of them people that low-key hate small talk, so like, yeah, I'll deal with it because you got to with anyone. You got to talk a little bit of it, but if we don't progress to something nurturing soon, I really don't even see this going further anyway. I'll definitely slide in the DM, exchange 2-3 messages, and if you ain't go where I needed you to go in those 2-3 messages, I'm disappearing anyway. So you can take it as I got my face cracked, or I can take it as you just honestly wasn't the person I was looking for in the first place.
All right. Next topic we have is if you were to write a book either about yourself or any topic that you could think of that you would just want to write a book on, what would be the topic and why would you want to write it?
And what would you title it?
I'm ready.
All right.
Dude,
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready. So mine might sound a little cliche, but mine would be called Breaking Barriers. And it would be called Breaking Barriers because every single thing that I've experienced in my life has contradicted every glass ceiling that was supposed to be put in place, every stereotype that was named for me because of my gender, my ethnicity, even when it came to life experiences as far as being a female who experienced some type of sexual abuse. I'm supposed to have certain tendencies, but because I do not have those tendencies, I broke that barrier. I broke those personas. Everything that I'm supposed to be, I'm not. And I've excelled past it. So that would be me. That's my story.
If I was to write a book, I would probably title it, but surface. And once again, it sounds cliche, but I would tailor it towards myself. The reason why, because there's so much more that I do besides what you just see. You only see what I allow you to see. So unless you a really good friend who I call a brother, unless you know me in that deep, intricate level, you're not gonna know what I believe, why I believe it, what I went through. So would you say I'm kind of two-faced, or I wear this mask in this situation, wear this mask in this situation? That's me admitting, yes, act certain ways in this, certain ways in that. So I just open up a more intricate perspective of who I am as a person and what it has taken me to get here. So I'll just name it Beneath the Surface. I'll put that. Sorry.
I'm so happy you changed the title of that book too.
I wouldn't personally call it two-faced though. I
No,
call
you
it.
changed the title.
Yeah, I mean, what he was saying, like if people took it as being two-faced, and honestly, I don't think that it's being two-faced. I do believe that it's the law of nature to being able to adapt to each situation that you're put in. Because I also have a public persona, I have a private life. Sometimes the lines blur depending on what's going on, but I try to keep each separately because I have to function in two different ways, from public to private. So, just my 2 cents. I personally wouldn't call it that.
I feel like,
being
just to touch on
two-faced.
that before anyone else talks about their book, I feel like who you are boils down to more so principle aspect. Your principles is who you are, whether or not you're in this situation or that situation. You could be in a party situation. If you don't steal from people, that's a trait that you're going to carry with you no matter what. If you're at a business office, if you don't steal from people, that's a trait you're going to carry with you no matter what. So I feel like it's more so you can be who you are, like know yourself, I'll change up a little bit, but as long as you're true to self, you're always yourself.
I was gonna say, yeah, but that's the point. Like, you're being true to self, but you have to. It's more for me. It's a defense mechanism, and it's how I carry myself in certain situations. It's just like that's my way of being able to cope outwardly. So if in public, I can slap on a smile and have a full conversation with you, and you probably never know that privately, I'm in Hurricane Katrina 3 times over because there are certain things about my character and traits about me that is just like I have to. No matter what realm it is, I have to stand up straight. I have to be able to function, interact, go on about my day to day. So yes, I'm with you there, but again, that's just me saying that you can't function in those arenas and not feel that it's two-faced. I don't believe in people saying that that's two-faced because you keep some of the things that are private, and that goes back to social media and intimate moments. People don't have those anymore because somebody's got a camera in your face, but we'll leave that alone. I'll move on. But it's just, there are certain things, and it's just like there are things for private, there are a time and place for everything.
Side tangent. We went to Needle Mountain not too long ago, and it pissed me off because my friend immediately, as soon as we go in the back room, takes a camera out, and I told him like, no, you're not recording this. This is I invited y'all for a reason. If you want to talk about this, then tell the story. That's the whole point of it. I hate the fact that everything has to be documented. Because when that happens, someone's always behind the camera, meaning that someone's not actually playing a part in what's happening. Already, we're not connected.
And there's a lost art in storytelling that, is, really it's African American tradition, for real, since it's still Black History Month, where you pass down stories, you pass down knowledge through stories, you know what I'm saying? And you pass down lessons through stories. And we are losing some of that, and that's not good either. But yeah, book.
Back to the book.
Okay,
But
since we go ahead, since the topic is actually about my book would be called Connections, and it'd be about the whole start early with getting to know people, forcing people outside the house, blah, 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 this and that, or just literally making kids at a young age learn the fundamentals of communication. Like a lot heavier than it is right now. And somehow write a book about, we know technology is going in this direction, but how to hold on to the basics with that. Oh, that's my book. That's it.
My book will be called Quiet Courage, because I'm a very quiet person. It's just my natural instinct is to be quiet and sit back and observe my surroundings before I jump in and just go head first into whatever's happening. And I would say courage only because with me being the only child and with me being, like I said before, first generation, I didn't have my best friend until I was in college and turned 22. Like, that's a long time to have a best friend. And so it's just always been me by myself having to go into stuff. My parents are there as well, but they ain't there to school with you when you gotta, have your first fight, or you gotta come back with some other stuff, or I didn't have like that older brother or sister to kind of pave the way. So I would just say to be quiet courage, because every milestone in my life has been something that's been achieved by myself, with my parents as well. But yeah, so.
I think my book would be called Ready, Set, Fight, because from the inside out, that's what I've had to go through and grow through, and I've come a long way from it. It's in between fighting inside of myself. Who am I? Who am I gonna be? Like, am I gonna live to the stereotypes of simply that my family or things people said to me, to outwardly having to fight, literally growing up in my house, a product of domestic violence, and I'm an advocate against domestic violence and child abuse, and having to deal with that and watching that, and then having to deal with more things as like high school, going through high school and college, and still having to fight my way through being a double minority. So it's just like every aspect of my life is a fight. My fight spiritually to stay sound in seeking God. Like it's ready, set, fight, and it's fight to the end. So that's probably what I call it.
I would read your book.
Sounds interesting. Mine, I would call it Just Keep Going, because I think, everybody has their own individual battles going through life, but some of the things that I've been through have been just crazy, and for who I am now, I probably should be like a really scarred person, you know what I'm saying? But through those challenges, I've just really stayed strong, and especially being a kid from an inner city, you know what I'm saying, growing up real poor, a lot of people deterred in the wrong direction, and I just kept going in the right one, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I call it.
Keep going back and forth on my titles. I got like 3 titles in one. Might have to have a trilogy or something. But what keeps on ringing in my head, shout out to Nas, is Blood of a Slave, Heart of a King. And the story of one man's perseverance journey. Because, man, we're all mind, body, and soul. So like we all have things and chains that we have to break in our lives, spiritually, physically, and mentally. And then just we all have this throne that we all want to get to, and your debt, which is basically your destiny, and you have to break those chains, and once you reach your destiny and fulfill what God put you on this earth to do, that's living like a king to me, but it's a long way from a slave to a king, and every day you have to fight, to all my life I had to fight. And so that's as far as what I
Fight some more.
exactly.
That's
Right?
right.
Man, I might have to change the title of that.
Sound like we need a collaborative book in here.
Right.
They'll fight, so we need to bring this together.
Exactly. And so that's what it would be, and just trying to reach my throne, and keep these shackles off.
All right. So for everybody watching now, if you were to write a book, what would you title it and why? Last topic that we have is the influence of fashion on today's society. As we can see, fashion is a recurring cycle. Pretty much what everybody was wearing in the late 2000s to
80s,
now.
90s.
Yeah, it's reoccurring. So the influence of today's influence of fashion on today's society. What does everybody think about that?
Anybody? I can start it off. So,
Because you probably the fashion
yeah, you
guru.
know. But no,
Fashion guru.
okay, whatever. But anyways, my thing is, fashion is just it's just a way of illustrating. Is that only for books? Can you say illustrating? Illustrating.
I understand it's a word.
Yeah, illustrating yourself. You know what I'm saying? It can paint a picture of where you've been, where you are today, and where you're headed. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is to me.
I feel like hip hop's fashion today is the word I want to use. Think of a bad word.
Degrading.
Oh my god, yep. Well, anybody? No, it's
Demeaning.
trash.
Horrendous.
Like, not to say it ever really was something like that, but I feel like today's age, I hate it. I'm so sick of this whole men wearing women's clothes.
Are we talking about fashion or fads? Because personally, I saw the guys that were in the boots and dresses or something, and it was like this is pushing the envelope. If a man walked up to me and he had on a sweater dress just like me and tried to talk, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know whether I'm supposed to give you a tampon or really accept this drink here. Fashion for me is a little extreme. Well, the fads are extreme.
Man.
That's the nature of
And that's why I said they're fads. They're not fashion. I don't call that fashion. They're fads.
There's cats wearing fingernail polish, lipstick, eyeliners, leggings. Like, when did hip hop turn into this?
That's a reflection on the culture, though. You can't talk about fashion without talking about the culture, and then the explosion of the same-sex movement or whatever. The fashion directly, reflects that part of the culture that
time
has
period.
exploded over the past 10, especially 10 years. So that's all that is. Okay.
I mean, and
I
that's
get it.
but-
I don't.
So, it didn't really even
it's
explode in
just
the
like
last
the
10
fact that-
years because even 20 years ago in the 80s, you saw dudes rocking crop tops. You know what I'm saying?
Prince.
It's always been happening.
Prince is
Or even if you want to go back to
Yeah, he's
100
He's
and
an
entirely different.
icon for
He had a
his-
lot more
Boston,
women
he
than
did
anybody
all
here.
year.
Not even
Prince
Prince,
just-
just like people in general, I saw pictures of all kind of stuff just like that. I mean, I can't base it off of literally what I've lived because I'm not from the 80s, obviously, but you know what I mean?
I do feel that fashion is influencing people's sexuality because of the fact that used to be something that was personal and something that, you may not have known someone's sexuality until you asked them or until they told you. But now just looking at someone, it's flamboyant. You can tell, oh, all right, cool. Not saying that's a bad thing, but that's how that's affected our society. You now know things that used to be personal, but I also feel like it's erased the dignity level, just dignity period for a lot of our young ladies because now, the way the fashion is marketed and the people that they're looking at, they have tight clothes or they have no clothes. So it's just, I don't know. And
But when wasn't it like that?
doesn't
As far as
It's not always been that way.
It does not help that
always
one of
that
the
way.
biggest fashion names today is doing new, basically Playboy shots in every magazine shoot she's
Who?
doing. Kim Kardashian.
She's not a fashion icon.
But that's
Yeah,
how
yes, she
that's
is.
how
She is.
that's
She
how
is. But she
society
is.
goes.
Like, she is.
I mean,
But
we
it's-
might not
the
agree with it,
question
but
is, though,
she's
are
a-
we
she's a
speaking
sex symbol.
specifically for one culture in general or overall? Because honestly,
That's all
I would
culture.
say because if we even talk about the watered down, we can get all the way down to the lowest of the low, and it's just sometimes it makes me wonder what people are taught when they walk out the door. Because there are certain things that it's just it bothers me to the core, and it's just the fact that people think it's okay to wear skinny jeans to interviews. They're jeans in their interviews, and so it's just the fashion now and the limits that people push. While yes, in some ways they're amazing things to look at or whatever, but to try to recreate them to function in our day-to-day life, it to me seems, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Redundant.
Might be redundant, but then too, it seems a tad,
Obsolete.
not the kind of word I'm looking for. I don't know. It seems a hot mess that people try to recreate some of these more, I'll say, extravagant or outlandish, glamorous outfits to function in society. So, going back to the interview, because that's one of the things that you happen to see. I want you to dress for what you're coming in for. So if you come in for a business interview, but you look like you're about to go to the club, girl, all you got to do is slap on a dark lipstick and you're out here. There's no line drawn anymore.
Hey, y'all have fun?
Yeah, that was cool, man. That was cool.
Great discussion.
As you can see, they have fun. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/ReflectionsTV. And make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at ReflectionsTV as well. And next month, we finally have a live audience of Kitchen Talk. I said a live audience of Kitchen Talk. So if you don't want to watch it on video, you can come out. It'll be at Scott High School on March 26th. We have a DJ, we have a new cast, we have presenters. So it's open to the public, so make sure y'all come out. I'm Sean Scott, and I'm out.
Yeah.